The official Honkai Star Rail account did post that we are getting a new game mode in the 3.6 update for the game. I'll talk about all the info we do currently have, so I'm going to be going over the confirmed info, which was confirmed by the Star Rail account themselves, a bit of unconfirmed info, so subject to change, and I'll also have a section talking about why I'm excited for it and what I do hope to see, as I have been asking for difficult content for a long time now. First, going over the confirmed info, one of the bit of confirmed info was this is indeed going to be a permanent endgame mode, so it's not going to be a event type thing. It is a permanent mode that will receive regular updates over time. Another confirmed thing is the actual requirement you do need to get into this endgame mode. Usually for the endgame modes such as MOC, Pure Fiction, APOC, they don't really have high requirements. You just gotta go to them, do whatever the requirement is. It's mainly just getting to a certain part of the story and you have them all unlocked. This new endgame mode does seem different, in which it does require you to have full stars in every single endgame mode. Meaning you have to have a full 12 stars in Memory of Chaos Stage 12, full stars on Stage 4 of Pure Fiction, and full stars on Apocalyptic Shadow at difficulty 4. So if you don't actually clear the full stars, so if you have 2 stars or less on any one of these modes, you will not be able to actually participate in the endgame mode. Another bit of confirmed info is it's going to be a different kind of thing. Usually in MOC, Pure Fiction, or APOC, we have a requirement of 2 teams, one on one side, one on the other side. This new endgame mode is going to be different, and it's going to have 3 trial stages and also 1 final stage. For the 3 trial stages, you're going to need 3 teams consisting of different characters. So now the requirement is no longer 2 teams, rather it is 3 teams. And for the final one that you do unlock after clearing all difficulties, you are able to use any team you want. So you will actually be requiring to take 3 different teams rather than 2 this time, so you are going to need more characters than most people would have. So that would be another requirement to actually fully clear this mode. And the last bit of confirmed info we do have is that this mode is going to have certain rewards, such as special leveling items, limited time avatar frames, and redeemable cosmetic rewards and more. Now when we do move on to more of the unconfirmed info, so the stuff that isn't confirmed by the channel and more just info going around. First, as usual, as anything else, I will say take this with a grain of salt, as it is info circulating around, so this could be completely different, it could be slightly tweaked, or it could be the exact same when the mode is added. One of the more likely unconfirmed infos is this mode is not going to actually provide any stellar jades. So for free-to-play players, it's not really going to be anything for you. It's just going to be a new mode mainly for people that are on higher investments, such as spending more or also min-maxers. So free-to-play players will not actually have to worry, as this mode is seeming to not provide any stellar jades. Just like it did state on the actual official confirmed info, it seems like the rewards are rather going to be avatar frames and also skins. Another bit of info suggests that to get every single reward in the actual endgame, you will actually have to completely zero cycle the mode. It did exactly say zero cycle, so that probably does mean it's going to function very similar or identical to Memory of Chaos, or maybe slightly tweaked, but it's probably going to have some form of cycles where you are racing against time to kill and clear as fast as possible. But that probably does mean it's not going to work like Pure Fiction where they spam enemies at you, and it's not going to work like APOC where they have the actual action value up in the top right. But rather going to function on cycles. Whether it's going to be identical to MOC, we don't know. If it's going to be slightly tweaked, I'm going to guess it's going to be slightly tweaked because I doubt they want to just have MOC on crack. And this is also something that was said and is going around, but you can probably already guess yourself. But this mode is seeming to be extremely difficult. They do say high difficulty, but often in games, high difficulty doesn't actually mean it's hard. This time, this mode does seem like it's actually going to be something very, very difficult. So the average free-to-play is seeming to probably not being able to clear this. Even light spenders or medium spenders potentially may not be able to clear this. This is probably going to be a mode only for min-maxers and or spenders. A perfect comparison is actually the newest endgame mode that was added in Genshin Impact, called Stygian Onslaught, where they did have a brand new endgame mode where you are able to get primals in. It does function a bit differently from how this one is stated to work. But if I recall correctly, there are 5 difficulties in Stygian Onslaught in Genshin, where the first 3 give you Primogem rewards, and there are 3 different bosses and you need 3 different teams. The trade-off is it's actually very easy. Practically anyone with a somewhat decent account can actually clear all 3 bosses on the difficulty from 3 or lower. So for most players, getting the primals is very, very simple. But the last 2 difficulties, which I think are called Fearless for difficulty 4 and Dire on difficulty 5, Fearless is still doable for someone with a more higher invested account slash dolphin or whatever. It is possible for free to players to do that as long as they do have proper investment, knowledge on their rotations, and so on. Fearless isn't the insane jump as opposed to the next one I'm going to talk about, but it is still something that majority of players will not be able to clear. But then there is dire mode, which dire mode you practically cannot clear unless you are a whale, or at least dolphin level that is min-maxing. You have min-max artifacts and you know the rotation's perfect, you don't mess up once, you know the attack strings of the boss, you dodge perfectly. Since in that mode, the boss is one-shot you don't do that much damage, you gotta have the mechanics up properly, you gotta have the right characters at the right time doing the right things. Dire mode is mainly meant for the whale slash min-maxers. Now, obviously, with the one that we're getting in Sorrow in 3.6, it's seeming to be similar to this, but less so. It's probably going to be more focusing on the harder side of difficulty, as there's potentially going to be no Stellar Jade rewards, so there's probably not going to be any other smaller difficulty. It's just going to be straight up, this is going to be for your min-maxers or whales. Which, again, overall really won't matter too much because there's not going to be Stellar Jades at hand here, so it would mainly be something that the free-to-players just kind of ignore, and the min-maxers and whales have their fun with. And now for the last part of the video, talking about what I do want to see. So, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I myself have been asking for difficult content for a long time now. Granted, I am a whale, so it's a little harder for me to get harder content because that would require, a big HP inflation in current modes for people like me to even struggle a bit. But even when not using any E6 character and maybe not even E2 characters, the game overall is just very easy if you do have proper invested in characters and or you keep up with meta. It's really not that difficult. MLC, there's really no difference between 0 cycling or 10 cycling. You get the same rewards. It's mainly just a personal self-satisfaction meter. Very easy to get a team to clear within 10 cycles. For Pure Fiction, you have a very big, generous amount of clear. You don't have to get 80k. It's only like, 60k? And APOC, I always forget the actual amount needed, but it's pretty doable. So I myself have really been asking for one of two things. One is better battle related events that are more fun and not just, completely buff orientated or like that whole insert weapon thing where it just does a bunch of damage for you. I was really hoping for more events that did lead on the battle side. We used to get them a lot in the early stages of the game, but they faded away, and now we just get all this kind of Mickey events. And two, I was hoping for more endgame that actually identically work like this, where more people don't really have to try because it doesn't have that many rewards, but for people like me and or people that spend more than me, which there are tons of, or just the min-maxers, they finally got their playground. So I am praying this is actually going to be very difficult. I am praying you're actually going to need to get high cycles, even up to 0 cycles like the info does suggest. I am praying this is actually going to require you to think at all, as I do want to have a challenge, and I don't just want to be doing MOC where it's just mind-bogglingly easy for me just having 0 cycles go over and over. I want to have fun in this mode. I want to struggle in this mode. Even if I can't beat it, I will literally not complain just because I will be happy that there's finally something I can look forward to. And finally look forward to something I can actually clear faster. Because right now, it's really how low of a team or wacky team I can 0 cycle with an MOC. Pure Fiction is just boring, and in APOC, it's just like how high can I get my action value, and that's it. Every MOC is guaranteed 0 cycle, every Pure Fiction is guaranteed 80k, every APOC is guaranteed 7500. So having an endgame mode like this where I potentially may struggle is definitely something I am very excited about. And if they do go the way where it's just some extra negligible rewards where it's just cosmetic, and it's not really a Jade reward, so free to play and low spenders can completely ignore the game mode, it doesn't change anything for them, but the whales that actually just have no places to struggle, they finally have a mode where they can test their limits, learn the game better, do better things, cooler things, and whatever. They finally had their playground. I think that's the best of both worlds, because the free-to-play players, you can ignore it, or you potentially have something you can work more to. Or if you're a low spender slash free to play that's a complete min-maxer with proper eagle sets, proper setups, you also have something to look forward to beating. And for people like me, or people who may spend a bit less or a lot more, whatever, or just anyone that's around this level and min-maxes, you now have a new playground and something potentially to look forward to potentially clear and is actually going to give you a hard time. So I am really hoping that it is actually difficult, it is proper, if there's going to be gimmicks, if it's proper gimmicks and not something like Pollux where it's just like, you have to HP train and nothing else. I've been asking for bosses potentially that introduce weakness locks so break characters get screwed, but they may take more damage from other sources like your typical hyper carry still works, dot still works. Or have one boss where it's like the source of damage from follow-up attacks is reduced by 90%. Boo-hoo, follow-up attack gets cucked here, but now you would still have to use something that isn't your follow-up team. Kind of just encouraging you to go through your box more, get up other characters, or just use different teams. So if they did add a boss where it's like follow-up damage is significantly reduced, I would not be able to use Phase Shout on that boss. So instead, I'm going to take someone like Anaxa, or I'm going to take someone like Boothill, or I'm going to take someone like Archer, which he has a follow-up attack, but you know, that's not really the damage source. Those kind of gimmicks that do screw over an archetype, but still encourages more diversity on what team to use. That is what I want. I don't want a boss like Pollux where it's literally your entire account gets screwed unless you have HP drain, which is a mechanic only limited to around 3 or 4 characters, and mainly is cashless. The only other way is to do some really whack stuff where you have no HP on your characters and like a level 1 relic, and then you can do a 0 cycle setup. That kind of stuff is weird because I want to keep my builds and change it to be a proper build and not have some wacky stuff that I probably don't even have laying around. So the actual mechanics basically like take reduced damage from follow-up attacks, take reduced damage from dot, or increase damage from dot but lower other sources, whatever. Stuff to encourage more team diversity and making one archetype a little more difficult to use or practically impossible while encouraging other sources to be used more. Those are pretty much two of my biggest wants on this mode. Again, actually being difficult and requiring me to think and struggle. And second off, actually having good mechanics that are not just like, oh, go ahead, use whatever, just try it, whatever. And I actually forgot to mention this. And I actually forgot to mention this. One more thing. Please, for the love of God, give us boss variety. Don't just put in Hule in every single goddamn reset. Run different bosses. I know we have a limited amount of bosses, but throw in a Venturion. Throw in someone like Cocolia again. Make her difficult. You can throw in the Banana Amusement fight, or Banana Amusement, that's a relic set, but you know what I mean, like the Banana fight, I don't remember what they're called. Just don't reuse Hule for every goddamn thing. I wouldn't even be surprised if it's like, hey, new event, 1 stage Hule, 2 stage Hule, 3 stage Hule, 4 stage Super Hule. I'm tired of Hule. Like, I get it, he's cool, but like, my god, give us something else. So, that's my last thing I want. I don't want repeated bosses. I want bosses to recycle a lot more, or I guess reset a lot more and choose more diverse ones, and not just stick to the same 1 to 3 bosses over and over and over again. Because cool, it's difficult, but 2, I'm tired of dealing with the same mechanic in the same way every time. But that does wrap up what I do think, what I do hope, all the info and all that stuff. If you guys are excited for this mode as well, let me know what you guys think. That's all I did want to say. Peace out.